Some things look similar but are not the same. Take, for example, salt and sugar. The overview and a conclusion might look similar, but they are very different. Let's find out how. What was that? In this video, I'm going to feel a little bit like a parrot because I'm going to repeat the same information again and again and again. The overview is the most important paragraph in your report. I'll say it again. The overview is the most important paragraph in your report. But unfortunately, it's also the paragraph that students have the most questions about. It confuses them. This video is just going to be information. I'm going to answer all the questions you have about the overview. An overview is one paragraph that contains all the key features you find in the chart. And usually that means 2 or 3 key features. Key features are the most important facts that the chart gives us. I tell my students to think of it like this. Imagine you are a student at a university who's working with a professor who right now is deep in the jungle of Borneo. And the professor is going to telephone you. Maybe he has 15 seconds to find out what the chart shows us. Now, when the professor calls, he's not interested in the small details, the small facts. He doesn't care if there was a 5% increase in this year and then a decrease and then an increase. No, he doesn't have time. He just wants the important details. If we look at this chart, we can see that everything on this chart decreases. That's a key feature. When the professor calls, you could tell him in all 3 time periods, the number of boys and girls studying maths decreased. No specific details, no numbers, just the important information. Another key feature might be, in every time period, more girls studied maths than boys. That's a key feature. I'm not telling him how many girls studied maths, just the overall detail. Those are the key features. It's not important because I tell you it's important. It's important because the IELTS writing descriptors tell us it's important. Don't believe me? Let's have a look at them now. I'm going to pause the video and show you the writing descriptors for task achievement. I want you to look at them, take your time, and look at the difference between a 5, a 6, a 7, and an 8. And it's all about the overview. Can you see the difference now? If you want a 5 for task achievement, just don't have an overview. That's what you will get. It doesn't matter if your grammar is fantastic, if you have wonderful vocabulary, if you have wonderful coherence and cohesion. If you don't have an overview, you will still get 5 for task achievement. We can see for a 6, yes, we have an overview, but the overview is inaccurate or irrelevant. And in the next video, I will teach you how to avoid this. For a 7, there's a good overview, but maybe it's not extended or detailed. And for an 8, we need a perfect overview which has got all the key features, and that's what I want us to get for task achievement. This is definitely the question I get most, and I will tell you categorically, An overview is absolutely not the same as a conclusion. Come on, let's understand why. Let's start by looking at the conclusion. Now, here I have an essay and I have an introduction which looks the same as my report. I've also got 2 paragraphs in the body of my essay. You may have 3, that's not a problem. But what's important is that at the end of my essay, I have my conclusion. How do I know it's a conclusion? Well, it starts with the 2 words in conclusion. That's a big clue. Also, I know it's a conclusion because it's the final paragraph in my essay. And the function of a conclusion is to remind the reader of the ideas and arguments they have already read in the body of the essay. Try to think of English people like little goldfish with bad memories. I can't remember what I just read here, so I need you to repeat that information in the conclusion. There should be no new arguments or new information in the conclusion. And that's a really important feature of conclusions. They're just repeating or summarizing the information in the body of the essay. Now, that's very different to an overview. Let's have a look at an overview. Here, I have a report. Like the essay, it starts with an introduction. However, unlike the essay, my second paragraph is my overview. How do I know it's my overview? Well, it starts with the word overall. It doesn't start with in conclusion because it's not a conclusion. My overview is not repeating ideas from the body of my report. It's got all the key features, the most important information inside it. So it's an overview, not a conclusion. And because it's an overview, it doesn't have to go at the end of my report. In fact, we'll talk about this in a minute. I think it's better to start the body of your report with the overview. However, if you want to, you could end your report with the overview. It's flexible. A conclusion is not flexible. It must end an essay. But the overview can go after the introduction or it can go at the end of the report. What you must not do, and I understand why students do this, because there are many good IELTS books from good publishers that do this, is you must not separate the information in your overview. We must not repeat the information in our overview. So if you start with the overview here, you must not have a final summary at the end. You must not separate your key features. If you do this, you will lose marks in the coherence and cohesion section of your writing score. Hopefully now you can see that, like salt and sugar, the overview and the conclusion might look similar, but they are very different. The conclusion repeats information. The overview gives key information that is not repeated. And the overview can move. The conclusion, it can't. It's stuck at the bottom for the goldfish English people. I know I just told you that the overview is flexible, and it is flexible. You don't get more points for putting it at the beginning or the end of your report. However, I strongly recommend that you start your report with the overview. And I recommend this for 3 very good reasons. The first reason is that students can sometimes go a bit crazy in an exam environment. Exams are super stressful. We go into the exam, you've been preparing for 2 or 3 months, you need a 6.5 or a 7 to start your new life. And when you sit down in the writing exam and you see your chart, I'm sure you will be very eager to start writing and using all the wonderful vocabulary you have studied. You want to show the examiner increase, decrease, rocket, dip, soar. And because you're really excited and really keen to start writing, it's very easy to forget the overview. However, if you train from day one to put your overview immediately after your introduction, you won't forget. If you put it at the end, it might be easy to finish writing about the final change and in the madness of the exam, to put your pen down and start the essay and forget the overview. And we know the overview is important, so that's a big mistake. The second reason is from my perspective as an examiner. When I'm marking reports and I mark a report that starts with the overview, I think, okay, I've got a student who had a good teacher. I've got a student who prepared well. I've got a student who understands what they must do to achieve a high score in this exam. And therefore, I relax, I enjoy reading the report, and I stop looking for the overview because it's my job as the examiner to check if you have one. The third reason, which is just as important, is that if you find the key features and include them at the beginning of your report, the organization of your final 2 paragraphs will be much clearer and much better. You will know the features that you must describe in detail because you don't have time, you don't have space to talk about every change or every comparison in the chart. Your job is to just report the most important changes. And if we start with our overview, you will know exactly what to include in your final 2 paragraphs. Let's repeat it one more time. The overview is important. It is not a conclusion. It is one paragraph that contains all the key features of the chart. It can go at the beginning, it can go at the end of your report, but it must not go in both. If you want my advice, put it at the beginning and then you can relax as you finish your report and then go to the essay and get your 7. That is a very good question, and the whole of the next video will explain how we find key features. It's a really important video, it's quite a long video, so I suggest if you've got lots of energy, go directly to that video. If you're feeling a bit tired, if you've had a long day at work or school, maybe stop for today or go and do another video, but do the next video when you feel like you have maximum brain power. However, before we end the video, I need to explain to you that from this point, we will have 2 paths when answering our Writing 1 tasks. To understand, I'd like you to pause the video and look at the 2 charts that will appear on the screen. And I want you to think about the language you would need to use to describe the information in those charts. I want you to think, is the language the same for both charts, or would you need different language? What do you think? Is the language we need the same or is it different? I think it's different. If we look at the first graph, we had a bar chart, but the bar chart described 3 different periods, 3 different times. And therefore, in our answer, we will need to describe the changes. What increased, what stayed the same, what decreased. This is a change chart. And the next 4 videos will talk about all the language we need to write a fantastic answer for a change chart. The second bar chart, though, only speaks about 1 year, so there are no changes. Therefore, all the language we will learn for change goes into the rubbish bin, and we need to take from our brain our language of comparison. This is a compare chart. We will need to talk about more British students studied French than any other student. It's the same structure of our answer, but totally different vocabulary. Okay, you probably should go have a stretch, a cup of tea. If you've got the energy, I'll see you in the next video. And if you haven't got the energy, I'll see you when you have. I'm Shelley, and this is my IELTS classroom. What was that? Oh, that was disgusting. Oh, I didn't actually have to put salt in it. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you found the content useful, please click like to help the channel, and don't forget to subscribe for new lessons every Friday. Plus, you can find more expert content at www.myieltsclassroom.com.